to go? You're good. Okay.
Thank you, Hillary. Okay. Thanks, Jordan.
We should leave it
Okay, we're going to start the public hearing pursuant to Section 859-A of the General Municipal Law. This is the Ulster County Industrial Agency. The project beneficiary is Arizona Hudson Valley LLC. The location of this project is on Lucas Avenue, Walton Lane, and 198 Heritage Drive, respectively, in the town of Hurley, Ulster County, New York, and at 171 Walton Lane in the town of Rosendale, Ulster County, New York. Today is July 14th, 2025, and let's note for the record, we did get off to a late start, waiting for everybody to get here and to start the meeting. It is now 2:09 p.m. And we are located here at the Rosendale Town Hall at 1915 Lucas Avenue in the town of Rosendale, Ulster County, New York. So, good afternoon. My name is Michael Ham. I am the chair of the Ulster County Industrial Development Agency. I'm also the hearing officer for this public hearing being held in connection with the project, which is the subject of this public hearing. At this time, we would like everybody to please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. The mission statement of the Industrial Development Agency. The mission statement of the agency is as follows. The mission of the Ulster County Industrial Development Agency is to advance the job opportunities, general prosperity, and long-term economic vitality of Ulster County residents by targeting tax incentives, bonds, and other assistance to foster creation and attraction of new business and retention and the expansion of existing business. At this time, I'd like to introduce Joe Ferraro, board member, Stephen Kelly, board member. Once again, I'm Michael Ham, board member, and this is Shannon Wagner, who is our attorney for the IDA. And over there on the playing double duty today is our executive director, Hillary Nichols. So today we are holding this public hearing to allow citizens to make a statement for the record relating to the involvement of the agency with a project for the benefit of Arizona Hudson Valley LLC, a Delaware limited liability company. I would like to note that as required by New York state law, the agency is live streaming this public hearing. We have also made arrangements for a stenographer to be present in order to accurately make a record of the public comments received at this public hearing. Shannon Wagner of Hodgkin Russ LLP, counsel to the agency, will provide information on the agency's legal authority to hold this public hearing, a description of the proposed project, purpose of the public hearing, and the agency's next steps. When Shannon is finished, I will then open up the public hearing for comments. Shannon?
Thank you, Chair. The provisions of Chapter 1030 of the Laws of 1969 of New York, constituting Title I of Article 18A of the General Municipal Law, Chapter 24 of the Consolidated Laws of New York as amended, and Chapter 787 of the 1976 Laws of the State of New York as amended, codified as Section 923 of the General Municipal Law, authorize the agency to promote, develop, encourage, and assist in the acquiring, constructing, reconstructing, improving, maintaining, and equipping and furnishing of manufacturing, warehousing, research, commercial, and industrial facilities, among others. The proposed project consists of the following. A1. The acquisition of an interest in 4 parcels of land containing an aggregate of approximately 56.94 acres located at Lucas Avenue and Walton Lane and at 198 Heritage Drive in the town of Hurley, Ulster County, New York, and at 171 Walton Lane in the town of Rosendale, Ulster County, New York, together with existing buildings located thereon. Collectively, the existing facility. The reconstruction and renovation of the existing facility, the construction on the land of certain additional facilities, collectively the additional facility, and with the existing facility, the facility, and the acquisition and installation therein and thereon of certain machinery, equipment, and other personal property, collectively the equipment, and everything collectively together, the project facility. All of the foregoing to be owned and operated by the company or an affiliate thereof as a multi-unit hospitality facility and other directly and indirectly related activities. B. the granting of certain financial assistance within the meaning of Section 854.14 of the General Municipal Law with respect to the foregoing, including potential exemptions from certain sales and use taxes, real property taxes, real estate transfer taxes, and mortgage recording taxes. And C, the lease with an obligation to purchase or sale of the project facility to the company or such other person as may be designated by the company and agreed upon by the agency. Pursuant to Section 859-A2 of the General Municipal Law of the State of New York, prior to the agency providing any financial assistance as defined in the General Municipal Law of more than $100,000 to any project, the agency, among other things, must hold a public hearing pursuant to Section 859-A of the Act with respect to said project. Since the proposed financial assistance to be provided by the agency with respect to this project may exceed $100,000, then prior to providing any financial assistance of more than $100,000 to the proposed project, the agency must hold a public hearing on the nature and location of the project facility and the proposed financial assistance to be provided by the agency with respect to the proposed project. After consideration of the application submitted to the agency by the company, the members of the agency adopted a resolution on June 18, 2025, authorizing the executive director of the agency to conduct this public hearing with respect to the proposed project pursuant to Section 859-A2 of the General Municipal Law. The executive director of the agency caused a certified copy of the public hearing resolution to be mailed on July 1, 2025, to the chief executive officers of Ulster County, the town of Hurley, the town of Rosendale, and the Kingston City School District, collectively the affected tax jurisdictions. The executive director of the agency also caused notice of this public hearing to be mailed on July 1, 2025, to the chief executive officers of the affected tax jurisdictions and published on July 3, 2025, in the Daily Freeman, a newspaper of general circulation available to the residents of the town of Hurley and the town of Rosendale, Ulster County, New York. In addition, the executive director of the agency caused notice of this public hearing to be posted on July 2, 2025, on the agency's website and on a public bulletin board located at the town of Rosendale Town Hall, located at 1915 Lucas Avenue in the town of Rosendale, Ulster County, New York. Copies of the notice of this public hearing are available on the table. The purpose of this public hearing is to solicit input with respect to the proposed project. We are not here to answer questions, although in the course of the hearing we will consider questions if we have the information to answer the questions and there is sufficient time to consider such questions. Now, unless there is any objection, I'm going to suggest waiving the full reading of the notice of this public hearing and instead request that the full text of the notice of this public hearing be inserted into the record of this public hearing. Hearing no objections, the agency will consider the proposed project at a subsequent meeting of the agency, currently scheduled for July 16, 2025 at 9:00 a.m. At such meeting, the agency will also consider the comments received at this public hearing. Such meeting, like all meetings of the agency, are open to the general public. The notice of this public hearing indicated that written comments could be addressed to Hillary Nichols, Executive Director. At this time, the agency has not received any written comments. I will now return the floor to the chair for the purpose of recognizing any citizens in attendance wishing to make a public comment.
Thank you, Shannon. Okay, we'll start with remarks by the affected tax jurisdictions. If a representative of any of the affected tax jurisdiction is present at the public hearing, we can now introduce them.
I guess that's me.
That's you. Paul Padolino for the record.
Just as far as comments, I do have questions. I know you're not answering questions. Our indications from our tax rolls show more than 4 pieces of property. We show 5, and we show more than 1 holder. We show 3 different owners of those properties. We also show unpaid taxes of more than $60,000 on the properties owned by Arizona Hudson Valley. I don't know. I need to check with the county, see if that's right there. But as far as the school district is concerned, and just looking at the great project. I think it's a great project. I think it's to do a lot of things. We're not against the project as it is, but looking at the cost analysis and the looking for a pilot, it seems disproportionate what they're looking for what they're adding. As with all pilots, they impact the school district. Not that they necessarily impact us directly. They actually impact all of you. So any taxes that aren't paid through a pilot, our tax levy is our tax levy. So anything that's not paid by any property owner is paid by citizens of Kingston City School District, right? Our 9 municipalities plus the city of Kingston. You all know that we have a tax levy limit. So the more we tax our local taxpayers, the more they can come and vote down our tax levy. So obviously, any pilot that comes in front of you, we have a concern.
Is that it?
That's it.
Okay. Thank you, Paul. Is there any other representative of affected tax jurisdiction present here at the public hearing? Okay, I'll move on. Remarks by the company. Jordan?
The parcel that's owned by 3 people, which I believe is the MHAC Holdings, is not our parcel. So there was subdivision on the actual site itself. And the subdivision, I believe, was into 5 parcels. We own 3 of the 5 parcels. 1 parcel is owned by now a new neighbor as of July 9th. And the last parcel, which is where the cell phone tower currently is owned by the ex-owner, basically, of the site, which is MHAC Holdings, as well as 3 other, his brothers, basically. In regards to the taxes, as discussed with the IDA directly, taxes will be paid before implementation of the IDA, of course, of the IDA, assuming that this is voted positively.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so I will now open the public hearing for public comment. It is 2:20 p.m. By the way of operating rules, if you wish to make a public comment, please raise your hand. I'll call on you. Please wait to be recognized. Once you're recognized, please stand, state your name and address for the record. Please keep your comments limited to 3 minutes so that anyone else present today has a chance to comment for the record. If your comment mirrors somebody that's already speaking, you may so indicate and then relinquish the podium to another speaker so that all views can be representative at this hearing at this time. When everyone had an opportunity to speak, I will conclude the public hearing. The record of this public hearing will be prepared and reviewed by the members of the agency in connection with the agency's consideration of the proposed project. Again, the purpose of this public hearing is to solicit public comment. We are not here to answer questions. However, we will, in the course of this public hearing, consider questions if we have the information to answer the question and there is sufficient time to consider such questions. I will now ask if there is anyone in attendance who wishes to comment on either the nature and the location of the project facility or the proposed financial assistance being contemplated by the agency with respect to the proposed project. For the record, please state your name and indicate your comments on either the proposed project or the proposed financial assistance being contemplated by the agency with respect to the proposed project. So if there's no, well, I'm jumping the gun here. Let's ask at this time who would like to speak. Okay. State Ada.
My name is Ada Citron.
Okay.
I live at 17 Walton Lane, Harley, New York,
Okay.
12443. I'm going to read this letter and then I'm going to present it to you so you can have it. And it's directed to you, Ms. Nichols.
Okay.
My name is Ada Citron and I reside at 17 Walton Lane in Harley, New York. I am attending this hearing to speak out against granting any incentives to Arizona Hudson Valley's project at 198 Heritage Drive. I am opposed to giving any tax incentives to the Twin Lakes project for multiple reasons. The primary reason is that the current completed application does not meet the specifications of the special use permit issued by the town of Harley, which specifically approved a cabin development, not a vacation resort, or the in-lodge category named on page 11 of the application. The approved site plan has 114 parking spaces for 58 units, 12 employees, and a restaurant with 2,266 square feet of restaurant floor area, and then I pulled a table from that previous site plan. On page 8, this application touts existing and future structures, including a second restaurant, plus event spaces with additional capacity of 440 persons, and a spa in lieu of a 6 guest room structure. On page 13, 74 employees are planned instead of the 12 noted on the approved site plan. Parking is not available on the previously approved application for these additional vehicles, and there is no room for additional parking spaces within the boundaries of the project. Furthermore, if this application were approved for a resort or inn, then 200-foot setbacks would be imposed, which would further limit parking availability. Secondly, I would like to counter the narrative that this is somehow an eco-friendly project. In point of fact, to do this project, the developer already removed all of the trees from the roughly 6-acre hillside where many of the units will be attached to the ground. Before that happens, the developer will dig up the hillside to install water, sewer, electric, and cable utilities. Approximately 1,400 feet of 24-foot wide roadways will also traverse the formerly pristine hillside of the property. Lastly, I am opposed to giving an incentive to a commercial business which so far has generated no revenue for the community. As a resident of Hurley and Ulster County, I am appalled that you would consider giving incentives to a non-revenue generating business that brings such great environmental harm to my neighborhood. I do not believe it is our government's job to make it easier for for-profit business developers to try out their ideas. As you already know, the developers are in arrears with their taxes. My thoughts are that the county would much better be served if this site was used for the development of high-end condominiums for long-term residents with some facilities open to town residents. Sincerely, myself.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
We can get in the hell of it. That'd be great. Thank you very much. Next on my list, I have Jordan. Jordan, do you want to speak, or do you feel as though you?
No, absolutely.
Okay.
Jordan Bam, represent Arizona Hudson Valley LLC, 198 Heritage Drive. Let it be noted that Ms. Citron has sued us multiple times. I believe 3, right? If I'm not mistaken. Along with the town clerk, Lynn Bailey of Hurley. The information she's provided is absolutely wrong. Not only that, it's been approved by the town of Hurley as a special use permit with 11 conditions. The 11 conditions are now, as of the DEC, where 10 out of the 11 conditions are granted / passed, including DEC, which resulted in a 22 point something, I think 22.8, if I'm not mistaken, incidental take permit, which actually is the whole town of Rosendale's parcel, basically. If Ms. Citron would like to sit down with us, we're more than happy to run her through the information. But in the meantime, I believe that via FOIL request, you can see the approvals, including the spa, as a matter of fact, that will be on site. So everything's been done by the book on this project. Just believe the information she has is not very relevant, unfortunately.
Okay. Thank you. And, well, you want to speak again? You're good?
Good.
Does anybody else want to speak? Anybody else in the room want to speak? Okay. Let's see. So if there are no further comments, I will now close this public hearing at 2:27 p.m. And thank you for attending.